Hello, welcome back to the channel. I have an awesome video for you today. I am going to be ranking all of the DCEU movies. I don't know if that's what this cinematic universe is officially called, but that's what I'm going to be referring to it as today. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking. At number 8, we have Suicide Squad. There are bright spots in this movie. Certain scenes show a sense of style. I like Will Smith and Margot Robbie in it quite a bit. Aside from those things, the movie's a complete and total mess. I honestly don't mind Jared Leto as the Joker. At the time, I really liked him, and I was very excited before this movie to see him in it. And I don't mind him. I think he could have done a great job given better material. In this movie, he has virtually nothing to do. And the movie is a complete mess. And even though I had more fun watching it than I did some of the other movies in this cinematic universe, it just reeks of studio intervention and a complete lack of vision from an individual filmmaker. It's a mess. That's really the best word for it. Like I said, there are bright spots, but it just can't be redeemed from the studio interference. And you know what? Maybe it's not all studio interference. Maybe David Ayer's vision for this movie was bad. But regardless, it is a complete mess. It sounds like it was a hodgepodge of Ayer's cut and a trailer house made a cut of this movie and they slammed them together. It's overall a bad movie, and that's why it's at the bottom of this list. At number 7, I have Batman v Superman. Unlike Suicide Squad, it does play like one person's movie. It is undoubtedly a Zack Snyder movie. Whether or not that's a good thing is up to the audience, and to me, it's not. It is, I think, bloated and boring and lacks direction. I think that it lacks focus. It gave us Ben Affleck as Batman and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, which I think were two very, very good casting choices. I think the actors are good in the movie. I think Ben Affleck's Batman is a bright spot in the film, and I do like the Batman v Superman fight itself. The build-up to that is messy and unfocused. The aftermath is a disaster. The Doomsday had no place in this movie. I think it could have worked so much better as a more focused film following Batman and Superman and their story. I don't totally dislike Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I like Jesse Eisenberg. I think he could have done better with better material. And I think he could work as this character in this movie. He was okay, but it didn't totally fit the rest of the movie he was in, tonally. It's not nearly as messy as Suicide Squad, but it is unfocused and boring for most of its runtime. At number 6, I have Man of Steel. Again, it is Zack Snyder's unadulterated vision. It is too long. It is certainly boring during chunks of it. But I like Henry Cavill as Superman quite a bit. I think he's a great casting choice, and I think, again, he could have done significantly better with better material. I like some of the action sequences. I like the first flying sequence. I think that's a great scene. Hans Zimmer's score for this movie is excellent. And there are more bright spots in this movie than there were in the previous two that I've talked about so far, because I like Henry Cavill, and it's a little bit more of a smaller scale, I guess. It's not as bloated. It wasn't trying to do too much, despite the fact that it is a bit overly long, and I think the color grading is way too dark. Not because I don't like dark movies, but I think that this movie could have benefited stylistically from a burst of color here and there, especially on Superman's suit. There's a video somewhere on YouTube of what if Man of Steel were in color or something like that, where they take the flight sequence and brighten it, and I think it is an improvement. So, on to number 5, I have Justice League. Now, Justice League is messier than Zack Snyder's 2 movies that I just spoke about, but it is easier to watch because it is less dull, I think. But look, it is a mess. It is a mess. But I do like these characters. I like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I like Ben Affleck as Batman, even though what he's given to do in this movie isn't all that great for the character. I like Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot. Ray Fisher is good as Cyborg, he just had virtually nothing to do. There's just not much to his character in this film. And, you know, it's a mess. It is. But it's at least easy to watch and shorter than its 2 predecessors. I'm excited to see what Zack Snyder's cut of this movie looks like. Am I confident it will be better? Not really. I think it'll play probably similar to Batman v Superman, which is a movie that I didn't like that much. But I am at least excited to see what he does with it and what his vision for that movie was and is. Next, at number 4, I have Aquaman. This is another overly long, somewhat messy movie, but one that I had a lot more fun with. I think that the world of Atlantis is fun to explore. I think the underwater sequences looked cool. I love Jason Momoa as this character. I love the bright suit and the colors that this movie gave us. I love all the goofy costume designs of the bad guys and Black Manta. There's some genuinely cool stuff in this movie, and I just like Aquaman. I think he's a cool character. I like how ridiculous this movie is, but it is way too long. That's the biggest problem with it. So much of this movie could have been easily cut out or shortened. I have no problem with how ridiculous this movie is. I had fun watching it, but it's hard to get past the unwarranted long runtime of over, I believe, 2.5 hours. At number 3, I have Wonder Woman. I like this movie a lot. I like Gal Gadot as this character. The 3rd act brings it way down, in my opinion, even though I liked what preceded that. And the last act isn't terrible, but it's very basic in terms of what a superhero movie does in this modern era. It just feels like they couldn't think of anything better when they could have had something better to say. When part of the point of the movie that is spoken earlier is that killing this one guy doesn't end a war. I think that could be a good subversion of a superhero trope where you kill the bad guy on top and then the war ends. But that's what happens. Even though they sort of pick apart that trope earlier in the film, I don't love this stuff from when Wonder Woman is a child. It's pretty goofy, especially some of the visual effects earlier in the movie. Yeah, a lot of the effects in this movie aren't great. But look, I like Gal Gadot as this character, and I'm very excited for Wonder Woman 1984. I'm pumped for that movie. I think it's going to be great. I like Wonder Woman a lot. It has quite a few flaws, but I like it quite a bit. Next up, at number 2, I have Birds of Prey. This is significantly smaller scale than all of the movies preceding it on this list, and that's one of the things I like about it. I like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn a lot. I think she's great as this character. I think the movie's funny. I think it has a strong sense of style. I think it's one of the most consistent movies in this franchise in terms of tone and in terms of quality. I think it's well made. I like the action. I like the characters. The story is a tiny bit basic, but other than that, there's not much to complain about. It's short, it's fun, it's easy to watch, and I liked it a lot. it's just a lot cleaner and a lot more stylistically pleasing, I think, than the previous movies on this list, at least most of them. At number 1, I have Shazam. I like Shazam a lot. I have a poster of it in my apartment. I have this t-shirt. I love the powers of Billy Bats and Shazam. I think it's the ultimate, like, fantasy fulfillment to see a little kid go Shazam and then turn into this godlike superhero. It's just so much fun. It's paced well. It's very funny. Probably, definitely among the funniest superhero movies ever made. I like the villain, even though he's not quite as memorable as some of the others in these movies. But Zachary Levi is great. The kids in this movie are great. It's just so much fun to watch. It's bright. It's fun, which is what you might have noticed I liked in my top 2 of these movies. And it's not because I don't like dark superhero movies, but they have to do something on top of being dark. They have to be dark and say something, or be dark and be interesting. But dark and boring, it doesn't mean a movie's good, or mature, or smart. And so if you're fun and easy to watch, even though there's not as much there, you know, Batman v Superman tries to be a political thriller and fails, whereas Shazam tries to be a fun, light superhero movie and succeeds, which to me makes Shazam a better superhero movie because it accomplished what it set out to do, whereas I think Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, Justice League failed at what they set out to do. Joker isn't part of this continuity, but if I were to include Joker on this list, I'd probably put it at the top in terms of quality. I think it's a great movie, despite some flaws, and yes, it is very derivative of other similar movies, but I think Joaquin Phoenix is great in it. I thought it was refreshing in terms of doing a movie like this, where it is dark, but it does have something to say, and I do think it achieved what it set out to do better than some of the other dark DC movies. And I like the idea of being able to do something that Marvel can't do. It's no secret that I am a big fan of the MCU, but I think that DC does have the potential to do things that Marvel can't, like Joker and like Birds of Prey. It's not just me being a Marvel fanboy. I'm rooting for DC. I like a lot of their movies, and I want them to succeed and make great movies. So that's my ranking of the DCEU, DC Cinematic Universe, whatever you want to call it. Stay tuned on the channel. Go ahead and subscribe. I have more reviews, more rankings, more movie news coming for you in the coming days. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.